Hey ladies and gents, we're back with some Avorion, and we are talking about the new, I guess you want to call it the update 0.29.5 supply, demand, economy, and difficulty levels in this game. So pretty much everything I've ever talked about, like trading posts and all that stuff, it's pretty much shit now. Sorry guys. They made some changes to the economy that, yeah, you're not going to get free shit anymore. And the changes to the difficulty level, which will be kind of interesting because I've changed mine, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go back into the game here. We had at one point game options, so this is probably the easiest way to do it here. Before, we had the insane level, right? But what they did is change the essentially how they've added 2 more levels of difficulty to the game. So what happens now is insane difficulty, you've known until now, is now expert. Veteran got a bit harder, and normal and below difficulties remain the same. We've added hardcore mode and insane now. So when I jumped into the game after this patch downloaded, I was reset to expert, which would have been which would have been insane in the previous versions. So, yeah, now I've jumped to insane. I can go back, I believe, to something less than insane, but I won't be able to go back up again. So there's no more jumping up and down in the difficulty level, at least. Once you get to insane, you jump back. You can't go back up again. So remember that if you're jumping up and down on these things, if you're having problems with certain issues, once you get up to the higher end, you're not going to be, I think, just insane. You're not going to be able to go back up again if you go down again. So remember that. However, the difficulty-wise, insane, mean enemies, stupid damage, take full advantage of long-range weaponry. So the enemies have gotten better. No reconstruction tokens, perma-destruction. So it means if you lose your ship, you lose all the systems and everything on it. They don't just go back into your vault or your depot. They're gone for good. Much worse initial standings with AI factions, no starter resources. Yeah, but you do get a chance with better loot. So the bigger pirate ships you drop, you kill, there's a better chance you're going to get a much better loot out of the deal. Now what's interesting is on the expert level, which would have been insane in the before this, you could usually the ships in the center of the galaxy on that level were about anywhere from, say, 20 to 150,000 Omicron. That was about the average damage that an enemy pirate or a Zotan can deal. Now, in this patch, with going to insane, I've seen ships that are at 300,000 Omicron. Some Zotan ships already. So there's been and I see freighters, right? Heavy freighters with 14 to 15,000 Omicron firepower on a stupid freighter. So yeah, you've seen a major increase in damage with these new insane levels. I haven't really did a whole lot of fighting yet. It should be interesting. So yeah, so be prepared. If you were comfortable with insane before, just leave it on expert. The next 2 difficulty levels are going to be even more difficult. Yeah, that didn't come out right, but you get what I'm saying is, yeah, this is going to be interesting, and I'll have to play with this more and fight some more and find out exactly how much more damage we're going to see with this. The other thing, so that was the difficulty levels. The other part of this was the trading, and the trading thing is going to be, we're going to have to do some moving and shaking here, right? So with this trade changes here, the supply and demand is now in effect. Before, you only really changed the cost of something when you say, if you took a load of gold to a station and you just dropped it all off, you would see a drop in the price of the product. That's the only thing you'd really see in the supply and demand. You'd have to do it physically yourself. Now with the factions, you're seeing here a supply and demand, so it depends on regions. So if you read the patch notes, it's you can flew this by founding or destroying factories. So I'm going to have to go through a bunch of my factories and find out exactly where they're sitting. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in the graph. For example, resume game here. by adding a salesman's trading system, once you install it permanently, you're going to get the price of goods, price deviation, and economy scan range. What this does is allow you to, and you're going to pick this up here, you're going to go to the galaxy map. And now you have a selection at the top up here. No goods selected, acid, aluminum. So you can select a specific item, and it's going to tell you what the demand is in this area for that specific item. And yeah, so it's not as easy to tell here because I'm kind of right here and I don't have anybody around me. However, we are going to jump out to one of my mines. Yeah, we're going to jump to the home stake. And this is in another faction's Okay, sorry about that, guys. I have to stop talking between load screens because it still doesn't let me talk. So when the game's loading, it doesn't pick up any voice. So if you're going to hear, so every time I switch sectors, you can hear that little bit of quiet. I keep forgetting that. So if you hear me go quiet, that's the reason here. So what we have here is, and I've added this to a mine by simply, once again, going to the ship. And I added a Ultratech trading system to, which is the economy scan range of 25, to this mine to give you an idea what it's going to be, what it's going to look like. So we're going to jump back out to the map now, and I'm looking at for gold here. This general area has a bunch of mines in it, and you can see by the color there's not much demand. The colder, obviously, you'll see the price up here, 30% cold, 30% hot. It's purple, so this is about as cold as you can get because there's lots and lots of mines in this region. A ton of them, in fact. If you take a look here, so there's noble metal mines there. There's noble metal mines there. So there's a ton of noble metal mines right in here. So hence why when you look at the gold, there's absolutely very little. Well, there's demand for it, but you're not getting top quality prices. So this mine sitting where it's at is really no good to me because nobody's demanding anything from me. They're not. There's already plenty of stuff in the area to. So I might have to dismantle this and go somewhere else. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. However, things like, for example, since there's so much mining going on here. Mining robot, and you can see the red blotch right here. They are in dire need of mining robots. So putting up a mining robot plant somewhere in this region would not be a bad idea. This allows you to see if something is, viable for selling and all that kind of stuff. So it's something to remember. These new options. Putting it on a ship or putting it on a station lets you see the general area, what you can sell and what's hot and what's not, what could be what you need, if you want to build a station. And before you decide what kind of station it is, you can check it out and say, hey, you know what, looks like there's a need here for aluminum, or if there's a need here for something, right? There's a way to do that now with this change using these trading systems. However, even if this is kind of somewhat cold to we'll jump over to the trading post here. You can still change this. Now they've added some changes here for the UI. So now you'll notice we were talking about how cold it is. Once you actually look at the station from this direction here, 27% lower in this region because there's a high supply for this good, and so is a 20% right here. So now you can still change your own. Say if you want to drop it down 20%. Not a bad idea. So you can drop this down, and I still have so they're still buying the stuff. However, by dropping the price down, I've become a little bit more competitive. I'm not going to make as much money. So you still have an option that you can drop your prices enough that they're still going to buy your stuff. You're just not going to make enough money. Or I can destroy the station and move it somewhere, or destroy this mine, or I'll probably just leave it. There's no point in starting over. But maybe going out and exploring some of these other areas, finding an area where I want to build a mine that I can, charge a better price for it. So yeah, with these different changes like that, you're going to have to go around and look where your stations are and see what's the hot commodities and what's not the hot commodities. For example, this station right here, this sells, you know what? Yeah, this is just a trading post. So it does have some commodities on there. I do believe it carries, let's see here, let's jump into a ship. See if we can actually look at this. So where's my trading post at? Trade goods. So it still carries, for example, electromagnetic charges, neutron accelerators, that kind of stuff. Energy generators. So there's some of the stuff, if I believe I right, I could probably sell it to some of the mines and still make cash, because there's a need for that. So the station's not a bad thing. They've also offered this. The station buys goods from traders to resell. So you can turn this on and off. So the station won't buy stuff. Gives you that option, because they specifically changed this consumer station stuff right now. So before, you had a trading post. Anything that was sold to that trading post, you could pick up. And they talk about here specifically, make consumer stations massively overpowered. Imagine getting a regular free delivery of 50 bodies. So we had the free stuff earlier with the trades. I just did 2 freaking videos on this. Now they've changed it. So now you actually have to pay for that stuff before you can get rid of it. So you're going to buy it, right? And then you're going to have to resell it. Or you can turn the trading post off so it doesn't buy it. So that's so no more free stuff. No more free body armor, mining robots, and all that stuff. That's all gone. They essentially changed that. The consumer stations have completely changed. However, there is some things like, say, the casinos, those kind of things where there'll essentially be a tax on it. When the population of the station uses up the goods they buy from the players first for a 5% increase. So this nets the player a long-term 5% profit from all goods bought by their consumer station. So it's going to be kind of a tax. So stuff like I said, the casinos and stuff, there was no point in ever building them. Habitats, biotopes, any of that kind of stuff, there was never really any point in building them, because they just consumed things, and you never got anything out of it. There was no gain other than you go to them, pick up the stuff from them, and then take it somewhere else to sell it. Now, when they're consuming, they will, of course, you'll get this 5% profit. What they will buy from the players first before, So there's going to so you're going to get essentially a 5% if you really look at it that way. However, the end of the free stuff is over with. So trading posts are now going to be slightly different. Interesting enough, right? So that's gonna kind of change up some things here. Those things are no longer cash cows, sadly. But this is one of those. We're just gonna have to change it as we go here. That is, like I said, that's the big difference. Is now you can see the areas where the supply and demand works. We're going to jump down here. No, we're not going to jump down there. So I have a bunch of stuff here with nothing around it. This is going to be kind of worthless now. You're going to get random traders coming in and stuff, but you're not going to be selling stuff at high-end prices relatively easy. A lot of this stuff sounds like you're going to have to start moving stations further out into other factions to get it, because I think it's a 25 sector radius around each There's 25 sectors around each one of these factories that influences that. So since I really have nothing here around me, relatively close, I might be starting to destroy factories here and moving them into other areas to get a better profit. No, I have mines and stuff strung all the way through here, and I'm actually making more money than I ever have before. Maybe because of the mines, I don't know, because I scattered them through all these factions, over the years or the hours I've played. But my center part down here, where I have, mining robot factory and all that kind of stuff, I might have to be moving it to make the cash before, or I'll just leave them here. I'll have to load them onto a freighter and then go out and sell them somewhere. But now you can kind of get in general area. If I have a freighter out here, I can put the trading chip on, and I can find out if there's the best deals for mining robots. Might be right out here, or it might be in this faction. So it's going to give me an idea where to sell stuff. And also, there's some interesting, and this is for some of the gameplay to think about. For each faction, there's usually, for example, this one's got, let's see here, this one's got a military outpost. I think there's probably 2, maybe 3 military outposts for every faction. But not every faction has a body armor factory. This one does. Or, I'm sorry, a warbot. We'll say war robot. That military usually buys the war robots. If I'm thinking, hey, you know what, I want to be the guy that's selling only war robots here, maybe it's a good idea to knock that war robot factory off and see if it'll change the supply and demand of this region. Something to think about. I'm going to try that, and I'll let you guys know if knocking off mines or war robot or knocking off factories in a general area. For example, we were just talking about this factory here that sells gold. This one right here. This is a gold. This is a noble metal mine. But if I start knocking off these other noble metal mines, am I going to increase my the amount of money here? Very possible. It's something to think about. Where I'll do some more videos on this as I start playing this with this economy thing and really checking it out. So, with that said, the other really interesting thing too is, and I've loved this idea, is that they've finally offered the ability to buy a... Alright, so I'm going to stop here a second while I switch. They finally offered you a chance. So now I have, this is a trading ship here, or actually a freighter. And you can see here I got it set for mining robot. There's nothing here that really don't buy anything. Apparently it looks like the hotter area probably be out here. But for example, let's look at war robots, since we were talking about those earlier in this area. Let's see if there's a need for them. Nope, not really. I'm kind of curious. You're almost going to have to kind of fiddle with this to see if, how about teleporters? Yep. So down here, it looks like there's a need for teleporters. We could definitely go down and maybe drop a teleporter factory there. Apparently that's the place to go. How about prone down accelerators? A little bit of a hot spot in there. But yeah, you can jump around with your freighters and try to figure out what's hot and what's not. Neutron accelerator, nothing much different there. How about and like I said, the mining robot, just nothing in here, no mines at all. So seems to be real interest in it. And once again, seems to be the area up here, which of course, look, there's a bunch of noble metal mines. Now I'm guessing this stuff will probably change back and forth, as the metal mines will use up mining robots, they'll use up medical supplies. This might get blue if I drone up there and dropped a bunch of medical supplies. This might get cold. I don't know specifically. I'm going to have to do a lot of screwing around, doing, trying all different kind of stuff and see if we can make this, see how this stuff works. But that's for another video. And the last thing about this patch is they finally offered this, which I think is freaking awesome. the ability to buy a faction map. Utilities, right? So now we can buy. You get 3 different versions of it. This one is Gate Network, which is a yes. This one's Gateway Network and additional sectors, yes. This one gives you all of it. That includes all the stations as well. So you can go over there and buy this fractions quadrant map, and it'll give you everything. Yeah, it'll give you it'll tell you. So you're not going to have to jump all around to find each. You're not going to have to jump to each one of these individual ones anymore to find out what's there. You get enough. I think that looks like to be about 3 million. For roughly 3 million, you should be able to buy a quadrant map to give you an idea what's in it for this faction, which I think is great because this is going to save you so much time. You just got to get $3 million. Hey, how hard is that, right? So with that said, guys, I'm going to let you guys go for the holidays. I hope you guys have a fun. If you guys do Christmas, Hanukkah, I don't know, Ramadan, whatever is going on right now, have a good time with your families and all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you guys after the 25th. Yeah, have a good night, guys.